So I apologize for the looks. I thought I would be professional and button the shirt, and then I started sweating a lot and unbuttoned the shirt. Uh, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm David Owens, extension entomologist, and behind you, I don't have anything in this field, but behind you, we've got plenished soybeans, and we've got some non-plenished soybeans. You can kind of tell where the dividing line is. The plenished beans are still growing. They've got some nice green tips on them. Still have a little bit of flowers at the very top. And the conventional beans, they've finished growing. They're making pods now. These are planted on 30-inch rows. In the plenished soybeans, we've installed two different trials. The first was a slug simulation experiment. This past spring, we had next to no slug pressure in our usual hot spots, which we've got a project between myself, Mike Crossley on main campus, Kelly Hamby, Kelly Tillman from Ohio, John Tooker from Penn State, I'm going to forget a few, Tim Bryant from Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Oregon involved with the same project, funded through United Soybean Board to focus on slugs. I couldn't find any slugs in the spring. We looked in middle town. We looked all in Kent. Actually, Drew. Where's Drew Harris? Drew Harris in the other wagon. He checked fields for me all spring. Drew, how many slugs did we find? 4. I attribute that to a very dry August, September, October from last year. We didn't get officially pulled out of drought until sometime in March. And then we had a colder than usual winter. Down here we had snow cover, but north of Milford there's very little snow cover. So this year, folks could have done no-till without any turbo tillage and probably been fine. With a couple of minor exceptions. Did come across a field that was impacted by slugs in Caroline County, and it was soybeans planted on 30-inch rows. I like walking in 30-inch soybeans. I like sweeping 30-inch soybeans. They don't tangle up around my ankles and untie my shoelaces as often as 15-inch do, and I don't walk in 7.5-inch beans. I kind of swim in them and then I bounce back out and walk around the edge of them and hop in when I need to. But the disadvantage to 30s is if there's going to be some stand loss, it's harder for these canopies to compensate for a little bit of stand loss. So they're a little bit more sensitive to early season insect pest pressure and slug pressure. And that was the case. The slugs in Caroline County dinged up the stand just enough that the farmer replanted the field. If they were on 15s, may have been fine. But anyway, so we didn't have any slug pressure worth talking about, and I reflected that in the weekly crop update. So what we did in this field is we divided up these lovely plenished beans into plots that we clipped a half of a cotyledon off of half the plants. We took off a full cotyledon's worth on half the plants and clipped a quarter of a cotyledon off. We killed some plants and then clipped cotyledons until those plants had pushed out the unifoliates. Once we have unifoliates out, we're generally pretty safe from slug damage. And you can't tell where those plots are now. Those are very pretty looking soybeans. So we're going to take that to harvest. Then on this side, close to the tractors and also in the conventional beans, we've got large plots that are treated with a fungicide at R3, an insecticide at R3. We've got plots where we are monitoring weekly and we'll treat if they go above an insect threshold. And we've got an untreated check plot that did not get either a fungicide or an insecticide. Generally speaking, I discourage that insecticide addition to a fungicide application. This field did not have any threshold level insect pests to speak of. We did have some stink bugs come in early off the tree line, and then they've since disappeared. We've got a smattering of soybean loopers. Beans that tall can handle a heck of a lot of defoliation without losing yield potential. We're nowhere near defoliation threshold on it. We're maybe at 5%, and only because there's some spots that Japanese beetles dinged up. So that's what's going on in that field. We're going to be installing another site in some double crop beans here on station, which tend to have more of an earworm concern. We've also got a plot that James Atkins installed for us at Warrington, which I think those plots are 90 by 200, 90 by 300. So that brings me to some late season insect scouting. This year we do have an unusual abundance of soybean aphid. I think one of the crop consultants here on the wagon tour called it an insecticide application on one field. I found a field near Milton that needed treating and called the grower, and we treated. The soybean aphids were so thick, you could tell that the plants were being stunted. They were black with sooty mold. My hands were sticky after holding the sweep net. It's very unusual for us to get soybean aphid, and very unusual to have any significant number of soybean aphid. So that's something worth taking a look at. Aphids are frustrating. They're not easy to make recommendations on because they're just a general plant stressor. In wet conditions, plants can tolerate a lot of aphids. In dry conditions, they suck the life out of that plant. So they just add more stress. They're just heaping more salt on the wound. Deck stem borer. While y'all are going across your fields, imagine this was a nice looking plant that we clipped about an hour ago. You may see petioles that have died. They're hanging on the plants, but they are dead. They've turned brown or gray. This is from deck stem borer that has laid its eggs in the petiole, and that larva has come through the petiole, killed the leaf, and is working its way into the stem. If you see a lot of that, the good news is you don't need to spray the field because you're not going to kill those larvae. But what you want to do is you want to prioritize that field for as timely a harvest as possible. You don't want a fall weather event to push those beans down. That's another place where 15 and 7.5 inch soybeans really shine. They tend to fall onto their neighbors as opposed to falling all the way on the ground. Other late season pests. This is the time that we start thinking about corn earworm. This is our station monitoring trap from our long-standing spot over there by that telephone pole and the dirt pile back yonder. This time of year, we should have $200. We've got a very unusually low earworm flight right now. That's over 3 nights. We had 5. This time of year, I generally get interested when we start seeing 20 to 40 a night. I get really excited, really happy for my sweet corn trials when we hit 100. 2019, here on station, this time of year, we hit 100 moths a night. We've got one trap in Laurel that's catching about 50 a night, but the rest of our trap network is catching between 14 and 3 a night. Very unusual. Unless something changes here real soon, I don't anticipate a lot of double crop podworm issues in the state. I do think that we've got a hot spot in the kind of the Laurel area. That's something worth paying attention to. There are some late soybeans over there. Soybeans that have an open canopy and full flower are going to be the most attractive to those moths. We do have a bit more soybean looper than usual. Not a huge concern in my opinion for our double crop. We're far enough north. It's going to take a lot of soybean looper to cause problems, but they do get into lima beans, and in lima beans they will eat small developing pods, and they're more of a contamination issue at harvest. Does anyone have questions on insect scouting for field crops this time of year? I know I talked fast. I have no idea what time I was supposed to give this to Jared. Ah, there he is. I can keep talking, he says. Let's see. Any other oddball issues that have come up? Yeah, we're still scouting fields for stink bugs. Stink bugs have been fairly light this year. A couple of fields that I've gotten calls about at threshold or over threshold, but so far we've been in probably 18, 19 fields the last 2 weeks and have yet to come across a stink bug field. Last year we had a blacklight trap in Greenwood that picked up a lot of green stink bugs, and we scouted in that area at the end of July, first week of August, and found ourselves a really nice spray trial site. This year, none of our blacklight traps are catching what I would consider to be a high number of green stink bugs. And with that, unless anyone has questions, comments, good jokes. Yes, sir. So, two things there. One, I'll talk to the guy in the lab that tends to update that. But secondly, when our website security code expires, I don't usually find out about it until somebody's like, hey, I can't find the trap counts, and then I email a guy in IT and he updates the code, and then you can get back on it. I do report on the earworm counts in the weekly crop update for Thursdays. And this year we started up the IPM hotline again. I try to update that. So it's a phone number that you can call, and it'll just give a recording of trap counts, or should. I haven't tested it actually, but should. So thank you for that. I'll look into it.